Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Voices of Recovery. I'm your host, Michele Eich, and this is my book, How to Kill an Addiction, Recovery with God. In this book, I talk about ways to break free by developing a relationship with God through Jesus Christ. And I have 20 powerful testimonies of real people who have done just that. So I'd love it if you check it out. But every week I interview somebody who has overcome a life-controlling issue. And this week, my guest is Eich. Eich, welcome to Voices of Recovery.
Hi, everybody.
Great to have you here today. And if you could take a moment and introduce yourself to our audience.
So my name's Eich Doyle. I'm in long-term recovery. I'm a child of God. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. Just turned 40 today. It's my 40th birthday. I have 4 children, one on the way. We just found out yesterday that we're having a girl on our gender reveal party. We're having a little girl. So just in long-term recovery, helping as many people as I can throughout the day. That's one of my passions. But also, I'm by God's grace, I'm a family man now, able to provide for my family. So, yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, I can't say that I've ever interviewed somebody on their birthday. So thank you for taking time out of your birthday, but it's special. 40 is a very prophetic number, and I'm just excited for what God has for you.
Yeah, so one thing I've learned is that it's not about me, right? It's about, sharing the message. So birthday or not, Christmas or not, whatever I can to help, because addiction and stuff like that doesn't take breaks. It don't take breaks. So whenever, amen.
Yeah. Well, when God has rescued us from darkness, another year older is really a reason to celebrate. Like, a lot of people lament, like, oh, I'm older, I have another birthday. But no, I mean, it's like God kept me alive another year. And that's amazing. So I just have a totally different attitude about it.
Amen.
Even though I'm a lot older than you are.
It's all about perception.
Yes. Okay, Eich. Well, I recently learned about you because you did an event in the Cincinnati area called Triple Threat, and I'm familiar with a lot of the people who put that on. And so I want to talk about that. But when you and I spoke on the phone, you said that Tyler Schmidt of Lit Ministries, so Living in Testimony, right, really rescued you. And I have interviewed Tyler a couple times. I've interviewed his wife, Jen. They're incredible people. I love them dearly. That ministry is just so fantastic and just doing miracles in the Cincinnati area and beyond.
Yeah.
So you told me that you were basically, you were in a very dark place. Just give us a little picture of what your life was like when Tyler saw you.
Oh, so when Tyler saw me, I was homeless for about 3 months. I was on drugs. I was shooting methamphetamines. I was smoking crack. I was drinking heavily. Haven't showered and bathed in days. I was walking all day and all night. Had what they call it, a hairline fracture in my shin from walking so much. My ankle swelled up. I had lesions all over my arm from shooting up. My arm was swollen. I was in a dark place. I was eating. I was going in dumpsters and trying to find food. I was waiting for La Rosa's Pizza to close, so I can go like into their dumpster to eat their messed up pizzas. And I was a very broken person. I was a very, very, very violent person when I was intoxicated as well. Didn't care who you was or what you was about. If I had anything to gain from you, I was going to gain any which way I could. So, so I was just in a dark, dark place. Satan definitely had his puppet strings on me. He was definitely dancing with me. But that's very, very dark.
Tyler just approached you and had a conversation. Did you know him at all, or how did that work out?
So this is how it worked out. This was when it was March 9th of 2020. And it was when I was going in the dumpsters to get pizza from the Roses. I just had a moment of clarity, I guess you want to call it, or I just started crying. I felt sorry for myself. Like, are you serious right now? And I cried out to God. I said, God, this can't be my life. Are you shit? Like, Lord, please help me. This is not my life. And I'm crying like alligator tears. And I've been up for some days, but it could have been me being up for like, some days. But I heard, watch this, like real vivid. Like it said, watch this. And I was like, whoa, what was that? I didn't pay no mind to it.
Yeah.
I kept on doing what I was doing. So
Wow.
I usually, to get out of the cold and to get out of the rain, I go sit in porta potties and sleep in porta potties. That's just what I did. I found porta potties, and so the next day when the sun rised, I quit walking for a little bit, sat in a porta potty, woke up. I don't know. I didn't go to sleep. I just sat there. I think. I don't know. Something was just different. I came out of the porta potty, and I just had the strength and the courage to like reach out for help. And I don't know, like it just like I didn't want to, because my biggest fear was feeling my emotions when I was out there. I didn't want to feel that's why I stayed high. I didn't want to feel, I didn't want to feel that I was a piece of crap. I didn't want to feel like I was hurting everybody. I didn't want to feel that I was homeless. I didn't want to feel them thoughts. I didn't want to feel that. So I stayed high and stayed drunk, because that's why I didn't want to go to sleep. I didn't want to like wake up, because I wake up sober. But I came out of that porta potty, and I didn't want a beer. I didn't want no meth. I didn't want no crack. I wanted help.
Wow.
And yeah, I wanted help. So
Yeah.
God, like he gave me like that. I think that's what that watch this was about, because it gave me strength. I had a Wi-Fi phone. I went to McDonald's and used the Wi-Fi area, and I reached out to Chuck Day. Chuck Day. I don't know if you ever heard of Chuck Day. He runs the Potter House, sober livings in Cincinnati. And he gave me Tyler Smith's number. And then when I called Tyler, like this man literally, from that moment, like he literally navigated 5 different moves over the phone. Like from where I was at in Price Hill, sitting on the curb, stinking, homeless, just broken. He got me an Uber. Then it got to the health. I had to go take care of my lesions I had on my arm, because they were swollen. I couldn't go into a treatment facility with these lesions like this, so I had to get them taken care of. But he navigated all this. I went to the health department. Health department didn't take me. Then he got me another Uber from the health department to the University Hospital. Then he guided me over to the engagement center, and then from the engagement center, I stayed there for 7 days until my insurance got up and jumping. And then once my insurance got jumping, he sent me to Woodhaven in Dayton, Ohio. So, and that's what he did. And he just, he answered the phone when I needed him to. I had questions, and because I was scared. I didn't know. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. And he answered. He loved on me, gave me the best suggestions I've ever taken in my life. And yeah, that's how he found me.
That's incredible. And some of our audience don't know who that is. What's that?
I'm sorry. I actually didn't meet like Tyler for my first 10 days. Like
really?
I didn't know, didn't know what he looked like until like he came and picked me up and took me to Dayton. It was crazy.
That is crazy. Okay. That's cool. Well, a lot of people in our audience don't know who Tyler is and Lit Ministries, but he is incredible. And he had an addiction and God delivered him. And he just has such a powerful story. And so does Jen. But he just has a way to just maneuver. He gets things done. And when you're ready to get help, he's there to meet you and connect you with the people that you need to connect with, get you the help that you need. And I love that. But when you said, God said, watch this, we oftentimes cry out to God and we think that he's just going to wave this magic wand and everything's going to be okay. Sometimes people do get delivered instantly, but most of the time it is a process, but he uses people. He uses people to be the hands and feet of Jesus to get those things done. And that's so beautiful. You cried out, God answered you, and then, you made the phone call and Tyler got you connected to the right people. So amazing.
So there is a saying that Tyler actually hit me to this saying. It says, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Yes.
And I said, wow. You know what I'm saying? So when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So I feel like God, yes, definitely sent me him. I definitely know, because I didn't know Jesus. I didn't know God at the time.
Right.
So God, he gave me them people. And yeah, God, he didn't magically, wave a magic wand and say, you're healed. You're healed. But God blessed me in different ways, because he knew that my state of mind and my heart, what I had to do to overcome my addiction, right? So he blessed me with opportunities. He didn't give me nothing. He just blessed me with opportunities and the strength to
Right.
go through with these opportunities that was given to me. So yeah.
That's the thing. When the door opens, you've got to go through it. And I
Right.
love that statement too. When the student is ready, the teacher arrives. That's perfect. And there's no better teacher than Jesus.
Come on. Come on.
Absolutely. Okay.
So that book you have, I'm sorry, that book you have. So, and I've known like there's no known cure for the disease of addiction,
Mhm.
but spirituality keeps the addiction at bay. It's not, it can't cure it, but it keeps it at bay if you just believe. And that's something that I've learned as well.
That's good. That's good. Wherever we are in life with whatever struggles we're dealing with, we need that constant touch from God. We need to be
Amen.
to him and his power working through us, and we can overcome those things that are binding us. And I call them life controlling issues, addictions, but most of us have something that we're dealing with, and it's God that's going to help us through that. Okay, so we kind of started at toward the end of your story when you went into treatment. Let's back up a little bit. And
Okay.
if you could share whatever you feel comfortable with as to how you got to that place. How did you get to the place, Eric, where you're sleeping in a porta potty, where you are, going into the trash bin behind a restaurant and trying to get food, where you have abscesses, where you're addicted and you don't want to feel anything? How did it start for you?
Well, it started, when the neighborhood I grew up in wasn't very like a great neighborhood. And I seen these guys that wasn't like, I was like 11 or 12. This is when it all started. And I'm just going to back up to there for a minute. And I seen the guys in the streets that were getting all the pretty girls, they were getting money, they were using drugs, they had no authority figure. And I wanted that life. I wanted that life because it seemed cool, cool.
Sure.
So all that did was it just constant rebellion. And so altogether, I've like, okay, throughout my life, I did 15 years in prison. Okay. And then when you go to prison, it's hard because you get used. I did like the longest I did straight was 5 years. So when you're going into a place like that, you get used to living a certain way, right? You don't get to pay bills. You don't have to pay for food. You don't have to, you don't do none of that. They feed you, they clothe you, they do everything you want.
Sure.
But the worst thing that happened to me, I believe, was me having to emotionally detach from myself. I had to like turn off my feelings like immediately, because I knew that, when I left the streets, I was a piece of crap. I hurt every individual I encountered. So when you having to go into a place like this and you have to live with yourself without the use of alcohol, you got to live with the regrets. Like, man, I can't believe I did that.
Right.
So every day you wonder why you don't get phone calls, and you wonder why you don't get visits, and you wonder why you don't get commissary, and you wonder why you don't get mail. It's like, yeah, nobody wants to answer your phone call. So, and it hurts when you sit and reflect on everything you've done. You have to, like, I had to shut my feelings off. I had to turn them off. And so what that did, that caused, that was just a disaster, because now when I get out of prison each time, I'm stuck. Like, I don't know how to be responsible. I don't know how to live life on life's terms. I don't know how to be a dad. I don't know how to be a brother. I don't know how to be a son. I don't know how to be a child of God. And so just getting there and just being clueless, I think it built some fear inside of me. Like, what am I supposed to do with this life thing? Get so excited when I'm getting released from prison. Like, yes, it's my last day. I'm getting out. But then what? Now what?
Yeah.
Now what do I do? And I was clueless. I didn't know. I didn't have the guidance from people. Everybody I knew was on drugs. Everybody I knew was very selfish. Everybody I knew that, and bless their hearts, bless their hearts, but I didn't have no guidance. I had nobody to really want to, my parole officer they say they, and I think they do have avenues that you can take. They have, they have reentry programs where you can go to and stuff like that. I never took time out there to even try to figure it out. I was scared and I feared it. So all that did was I think that was just like a tornado. And all I did was just like, okay, well, I know what's easier. I could just consume my mind real quick and just melt and just escape reality, and then get high and get drunk. And so I won't have to, deal with it, and just temporarily not have to deal with anything like that, but all I did was just caused more chaos and more chaos. And it led me up to that point. Just, my will, it was my will. And I thought my will was, and like, I don't know. And I tried the sober living. There's a lot of, see, I didn't necessarily have a drug and alcohol problem. I had a me problem. Like, I had a problem with this guy, right? So I didn't know how to deal with him. Yeah. So I go to these sober livings, and like, Eric wanted to attend Eric Anonymous meetings. Eric wanted to sponsor Eric. Eric was Eric's God. So, yeah. and that just basically that was it. I didn't, I thought I was, I get like 60 days clean maybe. And I thought I was like healed. I was better than everybody. And I feel like I can, I can drink this beer, or I can do that, but it never was the case. I always fell flat back on my face, always. And I knew something was missing. I just couldn't figure out what.
Sure. I just now that that's God. We try to fill the void in our heart. It's a God-shaped hole that only God can fill, but we try to fill it with all these kinds of things, people, substances, and it just doesn't work. But you mentioned that in your early years, you kind of ran the streets and you saw these guys and they didn't have an authority figure. So most of the time, an authority figure is a father in the home, and it's the father's job to teach the children about Jesus. That's what happens in a perfect world. But if that isn't the case, then you're kind of left with being influenced by your friends, or being influenced by the guys who were the dope dealers and all of that, right?
Yeah, right.
So if you don't have that, then, and you have children, then you don't know how to be that for your children.
Oh, yeah.
When God comes into the picture, he is the father to the fatherless. I talk about this all the time. And if our earthly dad is great, or if our earthly dad is terrible, or if our earthly dad is absent, or we don't even know who that is, God can be that for us. He can discipline us. He can teach us. He can show us wisdom. And when we have that, then we're able then to bless our children by being the kind of parent we need to be. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I had great parents. I had great parents growing up, but they eventually, when I was in prison, they became addicted to Percocets. They were snorting them, and so, but they had my daughters, and they were raising my daughters with this addiction, and my kids were in school. They ate, they were bathed, they were clothed, but they had that monkey on their back, and I remember being an addiction, like, and I remember, me being addiction, get out of prison. I was living at my mom and dad's, and like, I was on cocaine, and that's all I wanted. Can I share that? You think? Just go ahead and share that about my parents. So yeah, just and I remember it was December 7th, and this was December 7th, 2015. I was just coming off of crack. I was living at my mom's. I left my mom's house to go to the store, and some guys up there gave me a tester of some heroin, fentanyl, whatever it was, and gave me a tester with their phone number on it. And I didn't want it. I wasn't an opiate guy. I did opiates 3 times. I died 3 times. So it's like, I really wasn't an opiate guy, So, and I had an idea to just go home and sell it to my dad, go home and sell it to my dad and give me $20 so I can get some more cocaine, some more crack. Brought it home then and sold it to him. Well, he didn't do it the next day. He gave it to my mom, and my mom OD'd and died from it. We found her dead, or well, she just passed out. My kids heard it, and they came down and got me, and I went upstairs, and I kept her a pulse until the paramedics got there, and then she ended up dying. My kids got taken out of the house because they knew my dad was on drugs, and my dad wasn't stable in the right state of mind to be raising them. So just me and him there. And 4 months later, March 10th, 2015 or 2016, I come home from work, and he was all dope sick and on the ground crawling around wanting dope. And that was the strongest man I ever seen in my life. I thought that man was a superhero. Still do. I just know what happens when you get addicted. But Uh, so I was gonna give me some drugs anyway. I had tips that I made that night from moving furniture. And so I got him some drugs, and I did have my drugs. I went to bed and woke up, and I find him dead upstairs, 4 months later in the same spot.
Wow.
So
Mm.
I don't know. Yeah. So, now, what do I do now? When I'm in a home that I don't know how to turn lights, I don't know how to keep lights on in a place. How do you keep lights on? How do you pay bills? How do you get groceries? I
Mhm.
have no idea. So, but by the grace of God, my parole officer kicks the door in and takes me to jail. And I actually thanked her when she did.
Yeah.
I said, thank you. I said, thank you. Yeah. So,
Wow. Eric, thank you for sharing that. And I'm sure it's not an easy thing to talk about, but at the end of the day, each and every person has a choice to make for
mhm.
himself or herself, you know? Um, and so we have to let these things go and give them to God for sure, or it will
Amen.
eat at us. There's so many things that we have regrets I have to give them to God, because if you don't, they'll destroy you. And you mentioned that you were in prison. You mentioned that when you got out of prison, you didn't want to feel anything. You shut your feelings off in prison. When you were out of prison, you used drugs so that you wouldn't feel anything. So talk a little bit about that now that you've come to God, because when we come to faith in God, we start to feel some things.
Oh
We do.
yeah.
I mean, he starts to draw it out of us, because he can handle those feelings, and we've got to get healed from whatever it is that's causing those feelings, right? If it's
Right.
feelings
Amen.
of rejection or feelings of worthlessness or blaming or whatever the case may be. So talk about that process of coming to God, and then how you dealt with your feelings in a more positive way instead of getting high, taking them to the Lord.
Hey, yeah. So this is pretty cool. And this is my first spiritual awakening. It's pretty cool. So it started with forgiveness. It started
Yes.
started with forgiveness. I was in Woodhaven treatment facility. I was in Dayton, and I had to go and see my counselor, and had to do a little follow up on him on why I was there, and I gave him a little background of what was going on with me in my life. And I told him. He said, "You got a lot of trauma in your life, man." And he said, "Have you ever tried forgiving yourself?" I said, "No. What does that even look like? I don't know what that looks like." Right? He said, "Yeah, you just need to forgive yourself, man." So he said, "I got a challenge for you, man." He said, "When you go to bed tonight, before you go to bed, go in your bathroom and look yourself in the mirror, and
Mm,
look yourself in the eyes and say, 'I forgive you.'"
wow.
And at first, I was like, "Okay, whatever," and
Mhm.
just, but I remember laying in that bed, and I wasn't doing it at first. I just couldn't sleep, and I had so much on my heart. I was scared still. I didn't know, what was going to happen next, what the next move was with my recovery, and just like, is this? And kept thinking, is this just a waste of time? Should I just go back out? I couldn't sleep, and I was just, up and up and down. So I said, I'm gonna do it. I went in there, and I said, I shut the door, turned lights on, and I said, looked myself in the eye. I said, "I forgive you." And like that moment, my lips went numb, my knees got weak. I started crying,
Mm,
and like I had the best sleep I've ever had, like in months.
wow.
The best sleep, and I woke up with like
Mhm.
this weight just lifted off me. It was lifted
Yes.
off. To face the day. I said, "What's next?" I was more, "What's next? What's next? Come on, let's go. Let's get it right."
Yes.
More driven. I was more driven, like, because I knew that everything that was happening to me like just took a back seat. Like I don't forget it that it's there, but it's
Right.
time to move forward. And I moved forward. And it was just, it was so, and that was part of it. And
Mm,
like coming to God, just like getting out of treatment and going into the lit house, living a testimony, being placed there,
yeah.
and like being released from treatment. And that was a whole nother fear in itself, because now, like, I'm inside treatment, preparing for war, right? I'm
Yeah.
preparing myself for war.
Yes.
Now when I get released from treatment, I'm in the battlefield. Now it's like game on. You ready? You ready? So I'm like,
Yeah.
oh God, am I ready? So I didn't know if I was or not. So I was sitting
Yeah.
there like in the sober living, like, oh man. So I had questions. I was scared to move wrong. I know one false move that just sent everything up in a spiral. It'd be a tornado. So And I remember just like asking questions to people that was already like they had longer time than I had. And I was doing their thing. I was watching nurse that like the way they moved, and I liked the way they moved. And I was asking them questions, and they kept giving me a simple answer. I said, hey, this is it. I say, hey, just have you prayed about it? Just pray about it.
Right.
Pray about it. Right. So more and more I heard to pray,
Yes.
pray about it, the more it got stilled in my mind.
Yeah.
And the more I used it. So like, and then God always reassures me, you know, like, and as time passed and as I worked on myself internally, he always reassures me that if I got through all the things I got through here in my past, that there's nothing really that can ever take me down. You know, when somebody tells me no, it's a grain of salt. You know, it's whatever. I can take that what it's worth. I have empathy for others. Empathy.
Mm.
I've never cared about another human life in my entire being. Never. So me having empathy, I know is God's work.
Yeah.
I know is God's work. It's not mine. For me to have compassion for another person and care about how they feel and what they're going through.
Yeah.
It's not me doing it. I know, but he blessed me with that. Man, he's just, you know.
So good.
Just, oh, he's so good. Yeah, he's so good. I just.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. He gives us a new heart. The Bible says we have a heart of stone and we don't care. And it's all about us. And then he gives us a heart of flesh. And we do have that compassion and that empathy for other people. And we love with his love. And that's amazing. Eric, I love what you said about forgiveness and just that powerful moment when you looked yourself in the eyes in the mirror and said, I forgive you. I mean, that went through your body. That was a spiritual experience. Yeah. And we know that Jesus talks a lot about forgiveness, right? He wants us to forgive other people. And I think that a lot of people have a very difficult time with that. I know I did, you know, because it's like, well, you don't know what that person did to me, or you don't know what that person didn't do for me, or whatever. And we have all these excuses and reasons, but that unforgiveness is like a weight that we're carrying around with us. And it's not good for us. When we understand that forgiveness is for us, yeah, it can also bless the other person, but it's mainly for us because we can let it go.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I found that the most difficult person to forgive is myself.
Oh, yeah. 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 We like just, yeah. That was forgiveness being just forgiven something is so it's one of the most powerful things I've ever experienced. You know what I'm saying? Because if you walk around with the resentment and the anger and the bitterness, all that's doing is that's wasted energy. That's time taken away from God.
Yes.
You're taking time away from God to be angry, bitter, and resentful. For what? For what? Forgiveness, regardless of what the person has done to you. It's obviously that they're still living in the flesh. So what can we do? Can we draw them closer to God? Can we bring them closer to God? Let's try that. Let's try that avenue instead of being so bitter. And that's just So
good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. All right. Well, you went to the lit house. You were in the sober living, and you mentioned how the other guys were like, okay, you know, you were asking them questions like, how do you get through this situation? And them pointing you to God, pointing you to prayer. Because when you're in a community of other people who aren't going to judge you, they've been where you are. They're all on this journey to God and this journey to freedom and breaking free from the life controlling issues that have them bound. That's powerful. And I know that the lit movement has many homes in the Cincinnati area. I've visited some, I've interviewed people in them, and it's just so powerful. So I can't say enough about them. But at one point, were you kind of like ready to launch, move out of that? And, you know, you mentioned that you're with your family, you're working now, you're taking care of your children, you have another one, just so many blessings. Just talk a little bit about that process and how you transitioned from the lit house, the sober living house, to where you are now.
So this is check out how God works. This is so cool. So when I get to the lit house, right, there was a question that I had, because like I was constantly talking to myself and battling with my mind and my heart. There was constantly like I was battling. So I asked myself one question. I said, who are you? Right.
Yeah.
And this question left me depressed for 2 days. I was depressed for 2 days because I did not know who I was.
Really?
I did not have a clue. Right. So I was laying in bed for 2 days. So, okay, God, I was depressed. It was pretty, it was bad. I was like, wow, man. So from that point on, what I did was I took action. Reaching up to God, praying to him, Lord, give me the strength, give me the guidance. Lord, show me what I need to see, right? So I'm doing this. And so this question, and so the first thing that came to my mind after the 2 days was, this is temporary. This living situation is temporary.
Right.
What you're going through right now is temporary. So he said, are you going to be ready to fly this nest? Sober living is temporary. You're not going to be living here forever. Are you going to be able to ready to fly this nest when the time comes? And then I said, I don't know. I don't know. Right. I don't know. What do I do next? Right. So he helped me. He gave me the guidelines. So I said, here, internally, working on myself internally. So what I did was I started practicing the principles. I took honesty, right? I took honesty and practiced it every day for a month and a half straight. I did it for a month straight. And then I did a daily inventory every night before I went to bed and figure out what I could have did better, what I did wrong today, and what I could do better tomorrow. I did that. So when I worked on honesty, I worked on integrity. I worked on open-mindedness and kept doing it, right? And so I started building this character, this character that I fell in love with, that everybody around me fell in love with. And I'm like, wow. And all of a sudden, I'm telling you, the Prince of Peace delivered peace into my life. And I'll tell you right now that the peace that I have is more addicting than any substances, any emotions that I have ever felt in my life. There's nothing that can shake this. Nothing can rattle it. Nothing. And if it does, hey, what can I do to help you? Is there anything I can do? If not, I got to go.
Yeah. That's amazing.
So, yeah.
The peace of God is just so incredible. And there's not enough money in the world to buy it. I wouldn't trade it for all the money in the world, because the peace of God is not the absence of problems. It's the presence of a person. Jesus is the Prince of Peace. And so even when we have different situations come against us that are upsetting, and we have trials and tribulations, everyone who walks this planet does, we can still remain in peace and just focus on him. And that's so powerful. I love that.
So, I love that. I just wish the world would grasp the concept of it. And I wish I could just let them feel some of this. I have because, there is a spiritual warfare out there in this world. It's between good and evil, right? But God gives us free will to follow him or follow the devil. We got to make that choice, right? And I just wish people would just grasp the concept of how much he loves us and how much he wants to just bless our socks off, it's like, oh God, I just want you to feel this, coming from where I come from, and just being what I was. And this transformation is all God's glory. That's all him.
Well, I love your enthusiasm as you share that, Eric, because it is contagious. I mean, when people listen to you share your testimony, they have to feel that excitement that you have for God. And like you said, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And I think a lot of times people have to get to that place of brokenness where they really just bottom out and they have only one direction to go and to look, and that's up.
That's up. That's up. And it's pretty cool. I can so there was times where I got relapsed, numerous times. And then sitting back today as I'm being clean and I'm living this great life I have, I sat and thought, I was like, well, God was always with me, even when I was on my way to relapse. I'm literally on the bus going to relapse, and I have this voice, it's intuition saying, you're messing up. You're messing up. You're messing up the whole, and I just don't know what, it was just such a strong, I guess Satan had a stronger hold, because God was letting him pull me. And he was just telling me I was messing up, but God let his hand go, go ahead, he's still with me. He was still with me the whole time.
Yeah.
But he was weeping. I know he was weeping. I know he was crying. I know he was crying.
Wow. That's powerful. So Eric, you're a dad. You're taking care of your kids. You have another one on the way. Congratulations, by the way. That's so exciting. What does it mean for you to be able to provide for your kids, take care of them, raise them to know God, compared to the life that you had before? I mean, it's a difference of night and day.
So it is the coolest thing I have ever experienced. Like seriously, I could sum it all up. I can sum it all up. So, so like, okay, from sleeping in a porta potty, right, to having my own place of dwelling, right? Like from having running water, from having no running water, from bathing into bird bathing in McDonald's bathroom, to having fresh running water, to having relationships back with my children that I never thought I would ever be able to mend. To walking everywhere, to having 2 cars in my name, to not knowing the value of a dollar, to having a career now, a 401k pension. Yeah, it's a great thing. It's kind of like, what was the question again about my kids?
Just,
So,
comparing the life that you had now to where you are, or back then to where you are now with your family. And just like you said, you're a family man.
yeah, man. So, yeah, so my wife, right? When I met my wife, we was in sober living. She was in sober living. I was in sober living, right? But she's way more spiritual than I am. Like, oh my gosh, but she keeps me on my toes. She's my better brain. So when I met her, I was so on myself internally, and I met her, and I said, listen, you just need to go. Just go. I don't want to hurt you. I don't cause harm today. And I feel like I don't have enough time for you. I don't have time for you. It's not fair to you. Just go. Right. She said 4 words that nobody's ever said to me in my life. She said, we can build together.
Mm-hmm.
I said, what? Well, I've been praying for a woman like this, right? So
Right.
God later in my life, So I married her. We're married. We've been married. So yeah. So August will be a year. We've been married. We have a baby on the way. Being able to provide for my children. My son, he thinks I'm a superhero now. I only known him for 2 years. Like my son, I known him for he's 10. He just turned 10 July 16th yesterday, and I known him for 2 years. But man, he hey, what's your name, buddy? He's like, my name's Little Eric. So it's like he loves his dad. Being able to provide, it's so cool. Coming from where I came from to being able to pay bills and being responsible. It's is a piece of the puzzle that needed to be attached, and it's pretty cool. I can't because I've never even had a phone bill in my life, and I'm making all these moves. Getting $20,000 loans for a car for my wife so she can have a reliable transportation for the baby. And
I love it.
The Lord blessed me with that. I didn't know what I was doing. I went to the bank. I said, "Hey, I'd like to apply for an auto loan. Right, that's my credit union." And they was like, "Okay, how much you want?" I said, "I'll be back. I don't know. I never did this before." I went crunch some numbers, did it with my wife, and I said, "Okay." I went in there. I said, "Okay, we want $23,000." I said, "Okay." I said,
Beautiful.
"Excuse me, what?"
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you heard me. I said 23. I said, "Yeah, sure." And I got it. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool stuff.
I love it. And just the story about your son, little Eric, is just so beautiful. And one of the things that people don't understand is that God is a restorer. He gave me a promise many years ago that said, I will restore the years the locusts have eaten. I will repay you for what the enemy has stolen in your life.
Come on.
And we get in our heads and we kind of think, how could he possibly do that? This is a mess. This is broken. That's over and done with. But God is so able. And there's a verse that says he's able to do exceedingly abundantly more than we can ask for, imagine, or even think about. And so when you were in the porta potty, when you were digging in the trash, and what was it that God said? Just watch.
Watch this.
Watch this. Okay, watch this. Can you even imagine? Can you have imagined in that moment all of the blessings that he's done for you and will continue to do? It is mind blowing. He's such a good father.
The blessings I've gained so much in 2 years.
Yeah.
I haven't been hardships not really arise, right? So when they do arise, it's like the faith, where's my faith? Because I've been getting blessed this whole time.
Right.
But now it's now this hardship, the hardship I got, I want to give a shout out to my 2 daughters. They're 15, Elias 15, and Erica's 12, 13. And so my sister has custody of them. And bless my sister's heart. Just I pray that Jesus softens her heart because I'm still this dad thing. I'm still new at. I'm 2.5. I'm not even 2.5 years old yet. That's how I feel. I feel 2.5 years old.
Right.
It's my life. So she's not allowing me to see my daughter. She said I caused more harm than good. And I was trying to see them, but when you have a 15-year-old and a 13-year-old, really the social media, they're wrapped up in the social media and the things that they've been through. They're emotionally numb. They're just emotionally numb because of the things that my actions. They had to go through some unnecessary bullcrap, and it's hard. And my sister's, I think she just, I don't know. I would think she would be happy for me for where I'm at today in my life, but I don't think she is. And I message my daughters. I say, good morning. I love you. Hey, when am I going to get to see you? Nothing, so I don't know what happened there. But it's bigger than me. And to be honest with you, if I didn't have God and Jesus in my life right now, I'd have been back out using just over that situation, so it's okay.
Sometimes we just have to continue to give those things to God and let him work in everybody's life, because it's not just you, it's the daughters, the sister. God sees the bigger picture, and I've seen restoration happen, but it takes some time. So we just have to keep giving it to him. That's all we can do.
Yeah. It just breaks my heart because, I want to be like, and I guess I was praying for understanding. Like I was wanting my sister to understand, like, look what God helped me build, look what I built, just it's going to take a little time. I want to be in my daughter's life so bad. Right. But I know when they get to that age in 15, that age, dad's really not that important. It's who's with who and social media, TikTok, and it's all good at all that good third dimension, third world dimension stuff. I don't.
Yeah. Well, God is bigger than all of that. So
he's huge.
I will take some time. I will take some time, Eric, to pray about that situation for you. That God will work it out because He is able.
It's breaking my heart, and
I can tell.
So. It's okay, and I know it's okay. I want a part of my daughter's life, and I just hope that a picture didn't get painted of me that they I don't know, that they don't like. I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's bigger than me. God, I know God has it. I know, because if He done all this stuff for me, I know that He's going to restore this. I know for a fact. So.
Well, and I love this promise from God, Eric, and it says in His word says that He who began a good work in you is faithful to complete it. So He obviously did begin a good work in you, and He's not done yet. Amen. So our time is almost up, and I've really enjoyed talking to you because I love your enthusiasm for God, and I love what God has done with your story and how He's using you to help other people. But if you could just take a moment, is there anything else you'd like to say, or would you like to speak to somebody who maybe is living that life that you were living and really just is hopeless that things could possibly be better?
Man, reach up to God. Reach up to God. If there's fears you're dealing with, fear the judgment of the Lord. That's it. That's the only thing you should ever fear in life is the judgment of the Lord. Just reach up and just keep fighting. Change is not easy, but it's so worth it. It's one of the hardest things I ever had to do was change. But you have to keep fighting and disposing of what wasn't working and implementing things that are working in your life. And for me, it was Jesus. For me, the missing piece was Jesus. The missing piece was Jesus. So, I just encourage everybody, if you are struggling and you are out there, whatever you're struggling with, get into the Bible, get into the Word, read about Jesus. It's the love He has for us it's so overwhelming. Gosh, all I can say is just reach up and don't give up. Find your happiness. Wake up in the mornings with attitudes of gratitude, a smile. Our happiness is our choice. Even when it don't feel like it is. I know we go through a lot of things happen in our lives where we feel like we can never be happy, but man, just try to smile at least 4 or 5 times a day. Just try, smile.
Amen.
Amen.
Well, I'm looking at that Built 40, and it reminds me of Psalm 40, which is my testimony, that I waited and waited and waited on God, and he reached down and he pulled me out of a miry pit and he put a new song in my heart. And there's no one beyond his reach. Right, Eric?
Amen.
I mean,
No.
he saved you, he saved me, he saved so many people watching. So I just
Amen.
encourage you that if you're in that dark place, reach up to God. And I will also put the information about the Lit movement on the page, because they are incredible. And if they can't help you, they can find somebody who can. Amen.
Oh, yes. Yes, ma'am. Amen. www.litmovement.org.
There you go. There it is. All right. Eric, it's been a true pleasure. Happy birthday.
Thank
I
you
just pray
so much.
blessings over you, restoration, and many doors open for you in the future for you to share your amazing testimony.
Thank you so much, Michelle.
Thank you. And I want to thank our audience for watching this episode of Voices of Recovery.
Yes.
We're creating a safe place where people can go for encouragement on their journey with God. If you're new, give us a like or follow, and please share this message out, because I know you know somebody who could benefit from Eric's testimony. So God bless you, Eric. See you next time on Voices of Recovery. Bye-bye.
Bye.